Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's webinar. I hope you all are super excited like I am. Just give it a few minutes, see if anyone's going to be jumping on. If not, just to let you know, this will be completely recorded and it's going to be showing on my YouTube channel. So please check it out. It'll also have chapters on there, so you can actually decide what you want to watch, what you don't want to watch, and it's going to be really cool and hopefully be helpful to you, because I know a lot of people out there might think that it's easy to sell a home, but it's not always the easiest, and it gets even more complicated in our current market that is shifting, and we don't know what it'll be like today or tomorrow, but it's a constant shift that we are dealing with in this current market. So the more you know, the better you're going to be able to get this taken care of. So whether you're selling it this year or whether you're going to wait to test out the waters at the beginning of 2023, real estate's been a very good thing for many people. And the more you know, the better it's going to be for you, which is the ultimate goal that we have for you. So fingers crossed. And I have a nice little presentation that you guys will be able to view once we get all started on this one. So get excited for it, that's for sure. So let's give it a few more minutes and we'll get this bad boy going, and we'll hopefully have a great webinar for this evening. And for some of you, this will be on Facebook Live, so it should be able to be good information for you as well, if it works. So we'll have to see. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to start pushing this out to Facebook Live right now, and we'll get this show on the road. If anyone's in here on the Zoom part and you do want to leave a comment, question, feel free to do it. I will do my best to be able to answer it with you, but no promises, as we're going to be out there. So let me share my screen and we'll get this party on the road. So I hope you guys are ready and excited, because this is going to be a great information for you. So, all right, welcome y'all to today's webinar, Selling Your Home in the Current Real Estate Market, which, trust me, this market is different from the beginning of 2022. And it's definitely different than at the entire 2021, and even when we went into the pandemic. And we're actually reverting probably a little bit back to what we were experiencing in 2019. But because we've been spoiled these last couple of years, doesn't feel like it. It feels like the market and the bottom's falling out, but really it's not. The market is just changing. And what it is changing to is back to what we are used to. It's going back to what's called a normal market. And the normal market isn't what we had these past years. So for those that don't know, my name is Tim Veigle. I am a realtor with Watson Realty, broker associate. I have my broker's license, and I've been doing this for quite some time. So what are we going to do today? I'm going to go over with who I am, what's my experience, and hopefully that'll be helpful for you. Then we're going to talk about how to prepare your house to sell. From there, we're going to move into what are some of your options, because listening with the realtor is not always the option you have. You have other options out there, and they all vary. Some are good, some are bad. We'll talk a little bit about for sale by owners and iBuyers. We'll go through a little bit of what a listing agreement is, some of the items that'll be in a listing agreement that are extremely important to you. And then we're also going to move on to what could happen once you're under contract, because a lot of people feel once you go under contract, your home is as good as sold. That is not always the case, my friends. And then how to maximize your exposure when marketing your home. So whether you call me up to list your house or you want to use all this information to help you out, I am 110% fine with you doing either or. So the most important thing is that you get the most information possible so that you can make a decision for you and your family. And if you do have any questions, feel free, give me a call. I have absolutely no problem to be able to assist you and try to get this all set up for you and answer any questions that you might have, because the more information you have, the better decision you're going to make. So a little bit about me. I might be a rarity. I'm born and raised in Central Florida, so I'm not some of these people that have transplanted here, like say my family that transplanted back in the 60s from Pennsylvania. I born in Winter Park, grew up in the area. I went to Lake Howell High School, graduated from UCF with a degree in marketing, which is, perfect use of it is marketing your home. Once I graduated high school, though, I went to AT&T, which actually paid for my tuition, helped me get through college, which was great. And then from there, I actually started my real estate career in 2014, as I mentioned before, worked with buyers and sellers and closed over 210 transactions and counting. So in case you were wondering, the average realtor does about 5 a year. So I try to stay above that for sure. I volunteer also. I'm very big in trying to help others out. I volunteer with my business fraternity, AKSI. I oversee 10 chapters in Tennessee, Kentucky area. And I've also was a past board member and past president of the Casselberry Chamber, which lucky me, I was president during the pandemic when it started. So I had all these plans for the chamber and they dropped. So that's me in a nutshell. Now, how to prepare your house to sell. This is extremely important because the prep work is what's going to make sure you are not leaving any money on the table. And it's always tough in this market. And because it still is considered a seller's market, buyers can get away with a little bit, but you're still going to leave a little bit on the table if you don't put in the right time and stuff. So with that, you need to look at your house, and during any consultation I do, I always try to do this, assess the home's needs from a cosmetic view and a maintenance and repairs view. Sometimes because you're not in the looking to flip a home, cosmetic isn't something you're going to look at, but repairs, whether it's you or the next person, these are things you're going to have to address when the time is right. When I'm talking about cosmetic though, obviously everyone's going to think upgrades. I'm looking at the bare minimum on cosmetic, because you put 20 grand into the kitchen, you might not need to do that to get what you want. We just adjust the price and it could work out for you. Now, a fresh coat of paint goes a long way. Making sure the property's clean. Staging the property, which I do staging consultation of what we should do. And keep in mind, you want to be minimal. And then, of course, some fresh mulch, grass cut, bushes trimmed back. You want it neat. You want to look like a model home. That's the idea. Be a model home. The maintenance and repair. We want to look at your electrical. What's your electrical box like? What type of wiring do you have in the house? These are issues that'll come up. So we need to decide, is it worth the cost to repair them now? Or do we just address it on the back end, but know that we need to address it? What about your AC? What's the age of the AC? When was the last maintenance? How's that looking? Roof. What's the age of the roof? Roof is right now the biggest issue that we are encountering, because what's happening with insurance is your roof is causing insurance prices to go up and you're having less options. So we need to make sure we look at that really good so we have a plan to address it. The more things we can get up front, the less we have to worry about on the back end, and less surprise you have also means less stress for you. And then, of course, plumbing. What type of plumbing do you have? How old is the plumbing? Do you have any issues with the plumbing? Big item that's always looked for is, do you have polybutylene piping? Polybutylene is not a good type of pipe that you want on your property, because it does limit the amount of insurance carriers that are available for you. So next up, here are some pictures just to give you an example of things that I would look at. And these are some of my past listings. So you notice how we got nice place settings, flowers on there, nice color coordinated. It's clean. Not many people like carpet, but on the other side of it, it's clean, it's neat. When you go into a house that's not neat, we're going to stand out. We're going to be the top of the list when we look at that. Another one, this is just a back porch, simply organized a little bit, cleaned up a little bit. Nothing fancy. You got kids' toys, that's fine. You can leave the kids' toys out. You know, you got a little place setting there. It's all about neat. You want somebody that comes into your house, they can visualize them sitting there and enjoying it. And then here's another one, just a straight bedroom. Notice if your night-in stands or whatever is like mine, you probably got a lot of junk on them. We don't want that junk on there for the photos. Lamp, sure. Keys, money, whatever you lay out there, food wrappers, no need for that. Get rid of it. So we want people to come in here and not be nitpicking things that they see out, and more or less being like, I can live here. Now, what are my options? And this is extremely important when you're looking at your options. So there's three things that you guys can do when it comes to a selling point for the most part. For sell by owner, iBuyer, or of course selling with a realtor the traditional way. Now for sell by owner, got some pros and cons. So some of the pros that you might look at on a for sale by owner, you save money because you're not paying any real estate fees. Real estate fee is typically 5 to 6% of the purchase price, give or take. You will be directly involved in the negotiation 100%. So you're going to be talking, you're going to be doing it. It's all on you. At that point, you're in control. 100%. You are in control. You hear everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly during negotiations. Now, some of the cons, limited knowledge of market. So as a for sale by owner, you're selling the home. You might look at the Zillows, look online, have an understanding of what you feel is the market, but you're not out there doing it on a daily basis. You're not listing homes, seeing what's happening from a seller standpoint, seeing what buyers are going through. So it gives you a little bit of a different type of feeling of what the market is. And if you go out there researching and looking at news articles, doom and gloom, the world's going to end type real estate marketing, doesn't give you an actual fact of what's going on in today's market. So that could hamper you because you're making decisions based off stuff that you're not experiencing. It's kind of like you go to a doctor's office and someone's going to do surgery on you. You want someone that does surgery on you does a surgery once every 5 years and it's you? Or do you want someone that's constantly doing it and they are basically at the pulse of what's going on in their industry? Another con is you'll be directly involved in negotiations. Now, I know I put that as a pro because it can be a pro, but it's also a con. I recently sold my house, which I obviously represented myself as a realtor and listed it like the way I would with a normal seller. But the only difference is when a realtor is dealing with negotiations, we are told things, and a lot of times it's from an emotional standpoint. Now, when we communicate it with our sellers, we're not going to come out snapping and be emotional about it. We're going to give you the facts. The buyer wants to offer you $250. I'm not going to tell you the buyer says $250, take it or leave it. I'm not going to deal with you, because that doesn't matter. They're offering $250. What do you want to do? You can either take it or leave it. It's your call. We're going to put it in a position so that you don't leave emotion drive you down the wrong path. We are human. Emotions happen. That was actually probably the toughest part of my sale, is having to deal with that, knowing I'm the seller and I'm negotiating my property. If I do it again, I might even consider getting someone else to list for me and we get a referral fee on it instead, because it is stressful and emotional when you're doing it by yourself. Another thing that's a con is you will have a second job. I know many people think that it's easy to sell a home, but there's a lot of processes that goes into it. And as a realtor, your job, you're not the professional in everything, but you need to be pretty much know enough about little things to be able to address it. For example, with your job, you're going to have to market the property properly, field calls and questions. There's sometimes when I list and I get a property listed over the weekend, I might field over 100 calls over the weekend at all hours of the day. I've had customers call me at midnight and I've had customers call me at 7 a.m. So while it's listed till you go under contract, I hope you're going to be used to getting calls, because that's what's going to happen. And not everybody does the same type of contact with you. They're going to call, they're going to text, they're going to email, smoke screens, like you get it coming from all different angles. And if your property is really that hot when you list it, it's tough to keep it up. 2021, any of my listings, when you're getting 20, 25 offers, it's challenging. You got to review contracts. If you get into a multiple contract situation or multiple offers, that is challenging because now you got to go through multiple contracts and see what you can and can't do. And it's not always the easiest. And of course, going through the steps of getting from contract to close. We'll go over more of that a little bit later because we're going to talk about what could happen once you go under contract from a high viewpoint. But once you go under contract, when you are the realtor, there's more stuff that comes into it. And of course, dealing with someone trying to take advantage of you. People try to take advantage of listings all the time. Lots of times they're not giving all the information. They're lying to you. They're just trying to pull a fast one over on you. When they see it for sale by owner, they will also come in and say, hey, since you're not using a realtor, let me reduce you by 5%, 6% of what you would pay a realtor because you're already saving on that fee. And that's what they're going to try to do and negotiate with you. While with the realtor, like statistically showing, you're getting 10% potentially more than what you would as a for sale by owner. So you got to be cautious of that because there's people trying to pull the wool over on you and not necessarily use the facts of the property of what the market tells for the property. Now, iBuyer, some of you might not know what an iBuyer is, but an iBuyer is basically an investment buyer that comes in, buys the property. Their goal is they're going to resell the property for you. It's got some pros, it's got some cons. This is not a bad thing, but it's not for everyone. And that's what you need to remember for this. It is not for everyone. So some of the pros, you don't have to worry about showings. No need to prep your house. Some options to stay after closing. So if you need to stay 3 days to a week, potentially depending on which iBuyer you're using, it could be a possibility for you. And of course, it's good for time crunches. If you have a time crunch and you need to get something done sooner than later, it could work because it's cash, it's going to be quick. It's probably going to close in 2 to 3 weeks. Cons. No need to make sure house is in good condition. Or need to make sure house is in good condition, sorry. And when I mean that, like roof, because there's certain limits on a lot of these iBuyers where they're not going to take a roof that's like 10 years or older. It all depends on the iBuyer. They're very different on what they require. AC has to be less than 8 years on some of them. These are all very important things to think of. Because at the end of the day, if you don't think of these things, you have some issues. Because they're going to tell you, well, if we're going to go through with it, you need to pay it. Could get less than what is available on an open market. So the ease and the convenience of it, you're going to have to take potentially less of what you would if you put it on the open market and try to sell it the other way with all the work and the effort and the stress that's going to go into it. So you got to balance it out. A little stress for 30 days. How much money could I make compared to iBuyer and less stress potentially? And then of course, you still must pay a fee. A lot of people are like, well, you don't have to pay a realtor fee. Well, they call it a convenience fee typically. It's still about 5-6%. It really varies on which company you use. So you're still paying a fee. However, because you're paying the fee, they do give you an opportunity to, if you're moving within 10 miles or something like that, 20 miles, they'll pay for a moving truck. So it helps you a little bit there, but you're still paying a fee. So it's a wash when it says you don't pay a realtor fee. Now, here are some quick examples. Slide might have got a little messed up on here, but me, when I was moving, I looked at all options. And when I was selling my house, because it was my new construction, I didn't know if I was going to have a time crunch and I might not be able to get the contract beforehand. I wanted to see what's my option on there. So I did reach out to an iBuyer. They offered me $425 with a 5% fee. So I actually sold my house for $450. So I made $25,000. Another one that I looked up, they bought a house for $194. They sold it for $240. So in that case, they made $46,000, and that doesn't include the fee. Bought for $391.5, sold for $417.9. There's another one I didn't put on here that there was literally just a $500 difference. So it varies on what they do. So, and I can't tell you that it's a bad idea to look into it, but you can also have a realtor help you look at it and see what you can do too. I try to explore these options with my sellers, and typically every time I've done it, it worked out better. Did have someone in my office that worked with them, and it worked out better going with an iBuyer. It's what's best for your circumstances, what's your situation. Do you want the extra money? Do you not? And in some cases, what they're offering might be what you could get in the market. And we got to look at that. Now, working with a realtor. So some of the pros, of course, we're experienced. A realtor, like for example, me, who varies about 25 deals a year, give or take. I am constantly negotiating with other realtors. I know what to expect. I know how to get you to from point A to point B. I know what's fair for you. So that experience does wonders. Marketing your home. I'm experienced in marketing your home. I have a degree in marketing. So that helps you a lot too. And then probably the biggest thing that no one truly sees is getting you to the closing table. Just because you go under contract, there's a lot of speed bumps that you're going to hit along the way. And you got two options. You can either give up or you can figure out to overcome that situation. And a majority of the time, we figure out how to overcome the situation. There's some that are more impossible to do, but that's not all of them. And of course, understanding the market is what we do. When I list a house, I have an idea what's going to go on the market because of different buyers and sellers I've worked with. Because every single day I'm looking at the hot sheets, I'm looking at the market, I'm seeing homes go on, I'm seeing homes come off. I know what to expect. And that's an important thing to think of. And of course, protect you from issues. It's probably the one thing most people don't understand. We can help protect you so that hopefully you don't get sued in the future. No guarantee that we can protect you 100% of the time, but we could put you in a situation where if it does happen, you have less of a liability because of different protections we have in place. So, cons. Picking the right one. There's a lot of realtors in the Orlando area, and it's up to you to pick the right one. Family and friends will tell you this is the best one out there. A lot of times, no one knows of the issues with your realtor because you're not in the industry. So it's important that you need to pick the right realtor, and that's a tough one because there's so many, and not everyone is the same. My recommendation when you're picking a realtor, interview 2 to 3. Check them out, learn from them, and even some of the good ones might not work for you because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're married to us until we get this deal done. And with some of the realtors, might not be the best for you to work with because you clash with the personality. You know, you need to sit down, interview them, figure out what works for you, what's going to achieve your goals. And more importantly, when an issue comes up, and an issue will come up, how does this realtor handle that? Are they going to fold on you, or are they going to step up to the plate and help you overcome this issue and be able to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear? So, and you can get all of that from an interview. Sometimes we might come off that we're too busy for you. That could be a con with realtors. When you're doing business, you don't have the right systems in place. You might seem like you're never available. And also remember, it feels like a realtor should be working 24/7, but we do have families, we do have lives, we do have other obligations, but we're still going to find a way to take care of you for the most part. And that's something you can also uncover in an interview. When you interview the agent, you can figure out how they can do it. I've helped people look at houses when I was out of town. So because I'm resourceful like that, and that's important. Now, what goes into a listing agreement? So there's a few things that are in there. So first off, obviously there's the commission. It's negotiable. It's about 5 to 6%. I would see what are you getting from this realtor, especially marketing wise, on a listing. Me personally, I'm spending quite a bit on marketing, which we'll go over some of the marketing I do later on. But that's important to know. What are you getting for that? I've had one person even talking because they can find someone that could do 5% or 4%, and I happen to be charging 6% at that point. And they asked, why are you more than the others? And it's because statistically, my listings close at a higher percentage than the others. Most of them were getting 99% list to sales price. I was getting 101 list to sales price. So right there, that 2%, I'm getting you an extra 1% than the others would with the 1% extra commission. And that's because of the marketing and the effort that we do to get you the proper exposure. So, but that's something to look at so you know, because that's one of the important things in there. What is included? What I mean by that is what's being left behind. Refrigerator, washer, dryer, these appliances. We're going to market that they're left behind, and listing agreements being put in there of what you are agreeing to leave behind. So if you want to exclude it, things are fine to be excluded, but once we're in contracts, then it's something you got to adjust the contract. And once it closes, it can cause an issue if they're not there. Listing period. Most listing periods are about 6 months. I've seen some go 3 months. I've seen some go a year. So that's also always negotiable, but a lot of realtors usually default to 6 months because listings, right now, the average market's about 30 some days, but 6 months is usually good enough time for us to market the property and be able to get you an acceptable offer. Cancellation fee. In the contract, it does have a place for cancellation fee on the listing agreement. Basically says any of our marketing expenses plus a dollar amount. Typically, I don't put that in there because I don't plan to let you guys cancel because I plan to satisfy my customers. But there are some that'll put in there $250. I've seen $1,000. I've seen $5,000 on there. Whether they enforce it or not, I don't know. But if it's in the agreement, they have the ability to enforce it. It also talks about your method of handling disputes. So to lay that out, I've never had a dispute, so I don't have to worry about it, but it does go over it, lets you know this is how we'll handle a dispute if the seller has an issue with the realtor and there's damages. And of course, when they get the listing agreement signed, they'll typically also have you sign some addendums and seller disclosures for buyer so that we can get that work ready of what we want to come in with the offer we're going to get you and be a little bit proactive per se. Now, what could happen once under contract? Some people are like, oh, my house is sold. Oh yeah, you just signed? No, we got a contract, but we're good. Everything's downhill from here. Wrong. So there's lots of things that come up. I can't go over everything because we'd be sitting here speculating all day of what's going to go wrong if we did. So basically the items that could go wrong: inspection. So during the inspection, there could be some things that come up on it. Some of it could be legitimate. AC is bad and dying. Roof has leaks. You have termites. Or it could be something silly. We want you to clean out your gutters. We want you to add a water line for the refrigerator. These are things that are not necessary. The other ones that are more repairs and serious are serious. So when you get these, you need to look through it and decide what is the best option to go. And it's fine to say no to people and push back on it if you want. But make sure you push back on what's the deal, because if someone wants to add a water line to your refrigerator, that's something I would push back on because that is not material to the success of the house. However, if there is a leak in the roof, that is something that whether it's this buyer or the next, you're going to have to find a way to address it. So why not address it with the one you have in front of you versus hoping the one after isn't going to ask for more. Appraisal. So if they're getting a loan, you're going to have an appraiser come out and tell you what the best value is. So say you're under contract at 300, the appraiser might say it's 200. So you're $100,000 off. Now you got to negotiate $100,000 to figure it out. And that's where it gets tricky. And I've seen it take weeks to fix an appraisal issue if the gap is really big. But these are things that could happen. And that's also important of having the right negotiation skills because we negotiate the contract. We're going to have to negotiate inspection repairs. And then we do a third negotiation with the appraiser, trying to help that get through somehow. Financing falls through, which does happen. And it's all important to find out why. Different lenders have different requirements. So sometimes the buyer might need to switch lenders because of the financing falling through. Other times you might not have to do that. So, but these are things that happen. And of course, being that we're in Florida, Mother Nature, or other stuff that you can't even see. For example, we just got hit with Hurricane Ian. It caused issues. I guarantee you in the Orlando area, some homes were up for sale and had damage from the hurricane, and now they're off the market while they work on it. Definitely that happened down in Fort Myers area. So, but these are all things that could happen that could cause issues. Now, how to maximize your exposure when marketing your home. So being the marketing person that I am, whenever I'm looking at exposure and how I gear up my marketing strategy for any of my sellers, is I always look at the 4 P's of marketing. So, which for those of you that are marketing majors, you understand it. For those of you that aren't, it'll make sense. So the 4 P's of marketing, these are the things that we can impact: product, place, price, and promotion. So as you can tell, I bolded the ones that a realtor can impact. We cannot impact the place. You bought a home, we can't pick it up and move it elsewhere. It's not that easy. So that one we cannot do. But can we impact the product based off the photos that we do, based off the staging of the home, cleaning up of the home, things like that? Yes, we can. We do the product, we do the packaging of that product with our marketing, our photos, our videos. Price, very important. Yes, we can do the price. You know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to price it way up here. Well, pricing it too high, you cause an issue, and price is the one thing you have control over. And of course, promotion. Sometimes you do a promotion, whether it's a bonus to a realtor's office, you're offering a home warranty, or other items. Now, price, which I mentioned we do have control over. This little nifty graph here kind of goes over a little bit. So if we list at market price of what we think the true value of the home is, we're tapping into 60% of the market. If we go up 10% above that, we're only tapping into 30%. So if you go up 10% and you're tapping into 30%, you literally just cut your potential buyer pool in half. And if you cut that buyer pool in half, you might not find your buyer there. So now you start reducing it to get back down to the market price with the 60%. Well, ask yourself, when you're online looking at properties and you see a price decrease or you see the home on the market too long, first thought in today's spoiled market, because of how quick things are going, there's something wrong with the property or the seller is desperate. End of story. So you as a buyer would probably negotiate on it. Well, guess what? Buyers for your selling home will do the exact same thing. So that's why it's important to price it right. Even look at this. Drop it a little bit below, like 10% below, you tap into 75% of the market. If you tap into 75% of the market, you're driving the market up because everyone sees a deal. So buyers that overprice lose money. Buyers that are at market or slightly below are going to make more money. And that's the way it goes. So it doesn't always happen that way, especially in 2021, but it is the way it goes. And like right now, we're probably seeing, you're like, well, I see all these price decreases online. That's true. You are seeing price decreases online, but guess what? That's because the strategy of pricing is off of 2021, where you throw a high number up there. You had the buyer pool that attacked you because there was no inventory. The market has shifted. So if you go with that strategy, you're going to decrease and probably get less. I can tell you the last couple listings I've had in the last few months, I priced it at market value. I got offers, and one of them actually sold for 1% higher than what we listed for, and the other one sold like this with a cash offer. Now, the product part, how we package it, how we market the home, you know, I have like a 3-prong approach of what I do. Obviously, everyone is online, so it's important to be there. So online, I do professional videography. I put it on YouTube. I do some ads based off YouTube. I do social media ads, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok. Try to hit all the avenues that people might look at. I do professional photos. I do Google ads. You know, these are the first images. This is the first impression that people that are looking for your home see. So I try to put it out there online to where we're everywhere. Then don't knock mail. Mail still works. So I'll do direct mail, send out just listed postcards to the area to let them know, hey, this home is on the market. Help me find your next door neighbor. Neighbors are going to want to do that. And then, of course, face-to-face, door knock the neighbors, answer their questions, hold open houses. You know, this avenue helps drive the traffic. There's a lot of other things I do, but this is kind of like the foundation of what I start with. And with all these avenues, it keeps you on top of things, it keeps people seeing the home, and it helps people actually move towards you. And this is where you're going to get the multiple exposure. So you could potentially get offers, end up getting above asking, and get the home sold. But it all starts with the online presence and the prep work. Because I mean, look at online. There's some homes that you do photos in, and you're like, oh, that's beautiful. And then there's other homes that you see photos online, and you're like, for real? Who wants that? And that's the important thing to do, is great photos, so that people come in and they're not wasting your time and they know what they're getting themselves into. So I hope you guys all enjoyed a lot and got a lot of information. If you have questions, feel free. You can leave a question for me on the Facebook Live. This will be posted on YouTube here shortly tonight, so that you can come back and look at it. Next webinar is going to be preparing to buy your first home in 2023. That'll be on November 9th at 7 p.m. And I have a lender that's going to be joining me for this webinar. Here is the QR code if you would like to register for the webinar for your private viewing session. Hope you guys would join me for that. And of course, if you want to connect with me, my digital business card right there gives you many different ways to connect on me with all my social media presence. I'd love to hear from you. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. I got some great content coming out this fourth quarter, and I'm hoping to be able to give you the information you need so that you can make the right decision for your family in 2023. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you next month. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm here to help.